August 10, 2025. The clock read 3:25 p.m. Deep beneath the surface in Karen, a group of 25 high-ranking Russian military officials sat around a table, immersed in strategic planning. The underground command center gave them a sense of security, reinforced concrete, layers of earth, and silence. They believed they were untouchable. But above ground, far from their bunker, an F-16 fighter jet was preparing for a mission that would shatter that illusion. For months, Ukrainian intelligence had been watching. Every antenna cluster, every communication hub, every supply route near the facility had been mapped. The rhythm of the base, doors opening, antennas rotating, was monitored with surgical precision. The Russians had no idea they were being watched. This wasn't going to be a typical airstrike. It was a one-shot, high-stakes operation. A single F-16, no escort, armed with two 454-kilogram JDAM ER bombs. The mission demanded a low-altitude approach, evasive maneuvers, and a brief pop-up climb, just enough to give the bombs the range they needed without exposing the jet to Russian radar. At 2:57 p.m., the pilot completed pre-takeoff checks on a mobile runway. The aircraft was loaded with two GBU-62 JDAM ERS, each fitted with a delayed fuse. Chaff pods, threat receivers, tow decoys, and external fuel tanks were all in place. The software was prepped with GPS coordinates, inertial guidance profiles, and toss parameters. The pilot was briefed, fly at 50 to 60 meters altitude, just low enough to stay beneath the radar horizon. Why so low? Because even the powerful S-300 and S-400 radar systems struggle to detect targets flying close to the ground. The curvature of the Earth limits their line of sight. At that altitude, the F-16 could sneak into range, jam the radar, deploy decoys, and maneuver out of danger. At 3:03 p.m., the afterburner roared. The jet lifted off, gear retracted, and dropped into a nap of the Earth flight profile. Flying this low wasn't just risky, it was punishing. Every vibration had to be balanced instantly by the flight computer. One wrong move could suck debris into the engine and end the mission before it began. The route had been carefully charted through a clean corridor, verified by satellite imagery. Surveillance drones hovered above the border, watching the facility. Doors opened, antennas spun. The meeting was underway, but the most dangerous part wasn't the approach. It was the pop-up climb. To give the bombs enough glide range, the jet had to rise above the radar horizon. That's when the Russian defenses would strike. At 3:18 p.m., the decoy package was activated. Mini-UAVs flooded the radar with false signals. Optical traces added noise. The goal? Confuse the radar operators just long enough to delay their response. 3 minutes later, the threat warning receiver lit up. Illumination from the northeast. The pilot executed a beam maneuver, flying perpendicular to the radar to disrupt Doppler tracking. Jammers fired. ASAM launch warning followed. The pilot released a tow decoy, slowed slightly, and widened the turn radius. The missile chased the decoy and fizzled out. Now was the moment. At 3:22 p.m., the F-16 climbed at a 35 to 40 degree angle to 2,000 meters. The JDAM ERs separated. The higher and faster they flew, the farther they could glide. The delayed fuse was set to 1.1 seconds, just enough to penetrate deep underground before detonating. JDAM ERs aren't just bombs, they're precision-guided gliders. GPS and inertial systems keep them on course, even under jamming. The wing kits extend their range. The delayed fuse ensures the explosion happens inside the target, not on the surface. Why delay the blast? Because the target was buried. The explosion needed to compress the air inside the ventilation shafts, collapse the top plate, and send shockwaves through the internal corridors. The result, a small hole on the surface, total devastation below. Inside the bunker, the Russian commanders continued their meeting, unaware of what was coming. The facility was built with a 3-level gallery system. Surface structures were just camouflage. Antennas were exposed, vulnerable. The first JDAM locked onto its target. GPS keys open. INS reference locked. The second bomb followed milliseconds later. The F-16 nosedived back to low altitude and began its escape. Ukrainian intelligence had tracked every signal. Satellite images, movement analysis, signal timing, all fed into the mission computer. The pod image acquired the target. The resolution window was just seconds. The bombs entered glide mode. Wing deployment was triggered. GPS corrections synchronized. The munitions angled toward the roof block. At 3:27 p.m., the first bomb struck within meters of the main ventilation shaft. The explosion collapsed the pressure chambers. The second bomb followed, collapsing the ground floor. Support columns shattered. Electrical systems failed. No fire, just pressure. Walls crumbled. Consoles and maps were destroyed. The headquarters room imploded. There was no escape. The 25 Russian officers inside, including battalion commanders, staff chiefs, and planners, were caught in the blast. The second gallery collapsed. The shockwave cracked the ground block. Furniture and tactical equipment were obliterated. The lower level was swallowed whole. The F-16, now flying low, suppressed its radar signature with wave surface masking. It landed on the mobile runway within 17 minutes. No tracking, no rearming. Radio silence broken only after the mission. Pod images transferred. Mission complete. The impact was immediate. The Kherson front line froze. Forward planning halted for 8 hours. Artillery fire delayed. Supply approvals suspended. Engineering paused. Drone flights grounded. Without orders, Russian troops stood idle. Transport frozen. The line didn't function. JDAM ER munitions are designed for strategic disruption. Their penetrating warheads destroy from within. Their wings extend reach. GPS and inertial guidance ensure accuracy. The delayed fuse maximizes internal damage. Pressure stays inside. Concrete walls fragment the shockwave. Personnel losses rise. Defenders can adapt. Deeper shelters, more shafts, backup power, thicker air defenses. But every fix creates a new vulnerability. Ventilation must surface, power must connect, fiber must link. Attackers find the weak link and strike with geometry and timing. Still, the mission wasn't foolproof. Bad wind, weak GNSS, faulty fuse, lost UAV, any could cause failure. Success today doesn't guarantee tomorrow. That's why Ukraine built redundancy, backup targets, routes, jamming. The operational goal was clear: sever the battalion's command and supply node. Orders stopped. Bases went into standby. Artillery lacked targets. Minefield control paused. Armor waited. Drones delayed. Communication failed. The gap lasted 72 hours. During that window, Ukraine pressed 8 fronts. Russia couldn't respond. Backup staff weren't ready. A new command chain couldn't form. The secondary HQ was too far. Data transfer was manual. Frequencies scrambled. Chaos reigned. Double orders. Missed targets. Batteries silent. All from one shot. One jet. One mission. 20 minutes. Ukraine made this model standard. Mobile runways. Changed landing points. No more than 15 minutes on the ground. 6 hours later, satellite images confirmed the destruction. 14 frames showed the collapse. The blast depth, 3.2 meters. The fuse delay, 1.1 seconds. The target imploded. Field reports confirmed the 25 casualties, 2 colonels, 4 lieutenant colonels, 3 engineering chiefs. The mission was verified. The impact undeniable. F-16 missions became a psychological weapon. Invisible flights, visible destruction. Radar failed. EW systems overwhelmed. No trace, no signal, just devastation. Russian command discipline changed. HQs moved deeper. Decision-making slowed. Field visits declined. Concealment became priority. Coordination weakened. Reaction time lagged. Defense reflex dulled. JDAM ER munitions instilled fear. One bomb scattered a battalion. No countermeasures, no trail, no detection. Just a pod image and a perfect shot. Ukraine adapted. More mobile bases, duplicated fuel lines, updated pod software, faster mission computers, refined pilot training, extended radar suppression, synchronized targeting, optimized fuse delay, improved heat dispersion, reduced GPS deviation, increased reliability. With JDAMs fired from F-16, Ukraine didn't just destroy a bunker in Kherson. It cracked the spine of the Kremlin's command structure. Thank you for watching.